Welcome to the Garden of Horror. Today's random review is Hush. This film is directed by Mike Flanagan and is co-written with his wife. Here we have a woman named Maddie. She isolated herself in the middle of the woods. Now she is deaf and she can't speak because she has bacteria meningitis, which caused her deafness. She had surgery, and during the surgery, it caused complications involving her not being able to speak with her vocal paralysis. The opening of this movie really focuses on the sound of what your ears can hear. She's cooking, really brings out the sound of her chopping the onions, slicing them tomatoes, and just doing whatever she's got to do to make this full elaborate meal. While she's cooking, she's receiving text messages and she gets a visit from her neighbor. Her neighbor comes by. It's basically portraying that she can't hear and she can't speak. Right away in this film, the killer shows up, like maybe 20 minutes in. And when he does, she's cleaning up the mess from her cooking, and her friend shows up at her doorway, banging, just like violently, just banging, screaming for help. And the killer just stabs her constantly, like 1, 2, 3, 4. It just doesn't end. And that's probably one of my favorite scenes. It really makes the audience or me like feel uncomfortable, or to show how violent this killer is. At this point, it's really just showing the type of character Maddie is. She wrote a famous book. Now she's working on a new book, and she moved out to the middle of nowhere to write this new novel. She can't figure out the ending. She has numerous of endings that she wants to put down, but she can't decipher which one she wants, which plays in the movie later on. The antagonist, when he was doing the stabbing, he realized that she cannot hear. So in his head, in his psychotic head, he decides to play around with her, do a little cat and mouse. She's on her computer trying to continue her book, while the killers in the background who entered her house took her phone and started sending pictures of her to her computer or to her email or iMessage. When she received these pictures, she realized she isn't alone. Her door is open. She walks over towards the door, and there he is with a white mask. She quickly closes the door. The antagonist just keeps on staring at her. They had a little stare off. And this is where we have our movie for the next 70 minutes. What I like about this film, I have a few favorite scenes, but let's go into what I really like about this film. The soundtrack, to be very suspenseful. It's really heavy bass, and it works really well. The lighting in this film is great. It's all shot in the dark. When she makes her way outside, it looks fantastic. Blumhouse really upped their game with this film, and I wish these Blumhouse films that are put to Netflix once a month were out in the movie theaters instead of the other ones. Now, there are a few jump scares in this film. One of the jump scares actually got me, and it was really well earned. There are spoilers. That you've been warned. So there's one specific jump scare. She decides to open up a window on the second floor to hop on her awning or her second roof, where she throws this light into the woods. The antagonist decides to go after that light, where she eventually crawls out and tries to escape. Before she's able to escape, the killer comes back with the crossbow. I'm not sure why he has a crossbow. Maybe he's a Daryl fan from The Walking Dead, but he shoots her the sound was boom. It's I don't know. I jumped. Another favorite scene is when she's in her bedroom or a room, and there's a window, and she hears the vibrations of the knocking on the window. She turns around. It is her neighbor that was killed earlier in the movie. While he's holding this dead body up and just taking her hand and just knocking on the window. Her body just becomes stunned. As she was walking away, he took the victim's hand and started waving at her. It really shows how insane or psychotic this antagonist is. What I didn't like about this movie, he revealed himself. He's taken off that creepy mask. I wanted him to keep the mask on because the movie didn't explain why he's doing this. So by him having the mask, will really keep this mystery killer completely just a figure. And figures always terrify people. The unknown is what really terrifies people for the most part. I feel terrified from the unknown. Now, I stated earlier she's a writer and she's trying to figure out her ending. Towards the end of this movie, she's at the point of trying to figure out how to survive the situation. She had all these different scenarios like, should she fight? Should she hide? Should she run away? It was all these different scenarios, and that kind of really portrayed her character as a writer. Another one I didn't like is when her neighbor's boyfriend shows up. He was really like dumb, like Kanye West dumb. With all that to the side, I like this director. I liked Oculus. He also directed Oculus. I enjoyed this movie. This movie is a Netflix original, which is kind of awesome how horror movies are going to on-demand options instead of going straight to the movie theaters. This movie's good. You guys should check it out. I give this movie probably an 8 out of 10, and it's definitely a top competitor for my top 10 of the year 2016. So I'll see you later, guys. I'll see you next week later on.